Thousands of residents of Rivers State on Friday staged a protest in rejection of the 8-point peace resolution signed by Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, orchestrated by President Bola Tinubu. The protesters occupied the Rivers State Government House main gate along Azikiwe Road as early as 7 a.m. and shut down business activities across some parts of the Port Harcourt metropolis. The protesters comprised civil society organizations, Hausa community, students' union, elder statesmen, and other stakeholders. They warned that implementing the agreement was tantamount to compromising the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The protesters reminded Fubara that Rivers people massively voted him into office and therefore would not allow him to bring the people into disrepute by implementing such an agreement. In the meantime, 6 leaders from Rivers State have dragged President Bola Tinubu to the Federal High Court in Abuja for allegedly compelling Governor Siminalayi Fubara to enter into what they called an unconstitutional agreement. They insist that the said agreement was not only illegal, but amounted to an usurpation, nullification, and undermining of the extant relevant provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The plaintiffs, led by a member of the Rivers State House of Assembly representing Boni State constituency, Victor Jumbo, are Senator Bennett Birabi, Senator Andrew Uchendu, Rear Admiral O.P. Fingesi, Ann Keo Briggs, and Emmanuel Dinma. They are consequently praying the court to determine whether President Tinubu, Fubara, and the Rivers State Assembly have the rights and are entitled to enter into any agreement that has the effect of nullifying or undermining the Constitution and provision of Section 109, subsection IG, and subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Now, to discuss this further, I'm joined by 2 gentlemen, Godswill Jumbo, a public affairs analyst, and Opunabo Christian Inko-Tariah, his former special assistant to ex-Rivers State Governor Wike on media and publicity. But for now, I'm being told that we only have Jumbo on the line with us. Good morning, Jumbo. Thank you so much for joining me on the news this morning.
Yes, good morning.
All right, so what are the compliments of the season as well? So what are the underlying reasons behind the widespread protest in Rivers State, particularly as regards to the perceived presidential intervention in the state's political crisis?
It is rejection. It is rejection of something that is outrageous, something that is, resentful, something that is, inexplicable, being foisted on the people. The people, they are revolting. They are revolting against it. You can't bring people together in one room somewhere in Abuja and you craft some silly, nonsensical stuff and put them together, call them a presidential proclamation. In fact, is it not even the denigration of the office of the president of Nigeria? Involving in this kind of thing we saw trending recently. So the people are rejecting it. They are expressing their resentment. They are saying, no, you may think them stupid, but they are not actually stupid. The people of Rivers State are not stupid. They are learned. Check the profile of Rivers State in terms of intellectual profiling.
All right, we actually saw, quite a number of people on the streets, so many of them. How might the involvement of various demographics, such as the students, the youths, the civil society organizations, the labor unions, and even members of specific communities impact the political dynamics within Rivers State?
That's componenting of that crowd you saw yesterday. Check the segmentations. You get the students were there, the youths were there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Workers were there, labor unions were there. You know, that speaks to the various publics that we can regard, you know, as whether hoarse voices, rejected segments of the society, because the previous administration, you know, refused to pay pensioners, held up promotion for civil servants, and several things. The labor unions were being fractionalized, you know, instead of carrying them along in the governance process, they were alienated, they were discriminated against, and all sorts of things. So they are all coming together and say, this man that we came out to vote to give us a new breath of fresh air, we are with him. You have sidelined us, you have neglected us, you have put us aside as unimportant, as but our voice is not involved. But this time around, we're not going to have it. And so they are coming out to say, no, we are still here. You may trample upon us, you may step on us, you may hush us, you may do whatever, but we are still here. Now we are saying this is our state. No bursary was paid to students for 8 years. The youths were reduced to people who wear face cap and t-shirt on the streets of, you know, Port Harcourt, all through the 8 years. No people empowerment, no youth empowerment, no economic stimulants, no governance derivatives, no deliverables in terms of the offerings of government. They were not there, just political rhetoric, political crisis, this one against this one and all of that, all kind of a drama. But the people are coming out and say, in the middle of all of that, we are still here. And for now that we have spoken and that this is the man our votes have given us, you cannot take him away from us.
All right, so some of these concerns that you have actually raised, some of these concerns that you have raised, did the people actually come out to protest these concerns? Because a lot of people, some actually seem to think that this protest might not necessarily be a good thing for Governor Fubara because, you know, it might seem like, you know, his government is actually shaky at the moment. So I actually want you to tell us, what are the implications? What implications could this particular protest have on the state's governance and also the stability of Rivers State?
Okay, one, it will reinforce the confidence of the government that is on the right path. It will drag back the governor from, you know, that trajectory that the so-called purported fake and inglorious political settlement meeting was dragging him. The people are now coming back and saying, no, you can't go there. So it will put a restraint on the government from any further insane, you know, undertakings. It will restrain him. And you know, the elders of Rivers State, the real elders, we have an executive governor there among the 6 people who are taking the president, the governor, and INEC to court. There is a former executive governor in that list. There is a former military administrator in that list. There is a former member of the Armed Forces Ruling Council in that list. And then the other key stakeholders who are well respected, not just across the Niger Delta, but across the nation as well, and who have a reputation, you know, to bring to the table. Those are, they are taking, you know, the president, the governor, the House of Assembly, INEC to court and saying, no, this kind of agreement does not make any sense and it's not going to happen. So the people coming out to say, no, Mr. Governor, whatever you went to agree in Abuja does not sell with us. It will put a restraint on the government, and then it will give the governor the confidence to be able to continue on the path, on the trajectory of people-centered governance, like he was already doing before all of this drama, you know, started playing out. So it will drag him back on that path and put him on that trajectory to focus on, you know, the deliverables he has promised the people during the election. That's what it's going to do. Not only that, it will also checkmate those who want to snatch the soul of Rivers State. It will checkmate them. It is a very eloquent, you know, uproar against them, saying that thing you want to bring to Rivers State is not going to work. We don't want it, we don't like it, we're not going to take it. So it will also put a restraint on those people. And
all right.
the bigger one is that
Godswill,
it is a discount.
sorry for cutting you short, but I'm being told that we're now being joined by Opunabo Christian Inko-Tariah. He is a former special assistant to ex-Rivers State Governor Wike on media and publicity. Good morning, sir, and thank you so much for joining me on the news. If you can hear me.
Correct it, please. I said special advisor, not assistant.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. So
correct it. Now you've not corrected it. Correct it first.
Sorry.
Advisor, not assistant. So correct.
All right.
that.
Special advisor. Yes, special advisor to ex-Rivers State Governor Wike on media and publicity. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. So let's move on with it. What is the broader political context surrounding Governor Siminalayi Fubara's position and the support that he is receiving from these protesters? And how do you think that, the mass demonstration influence or would influence the ongoing political crisis and also the decision-making process in Rivers State?
First and foremost, I listened to my brother. And I think I agree with most of the things he said. The crisis you see in Rivers State, or the protest, so to speak, you see, is a referendum of the people's disapproval of dictatorship in Rivers State. For 8 solid years, it was a march of conquest, terror, and subjugation by the federal capital minister, territory minister, who was the governor of the state. We were really asphyxiated, and he wants to have a continuous hold on the state. It's like the state capture that the people are trying to resist. And unfortunately, too, we have a president who is a master of the pestilence of godfatherism in Rivers State and in the country. If you remember the case of Ambody, then the same thing with Fashola. So Fashola was smart enough when he tried to negotiate with him, pretending to have been repentant. And after he won the second term, he showed his real self. And that is the same man that is trying to impose that dictatorship on Rivers State. Sadly, it is being architectured by the former governor of the state who ought to and who had wanted. If you recall, when the Ambody saga was on, it was the same Nyesom Wike who went on air to condemn it and embolden Ambody to fight Tinubu. He even went a step further to say in Rivers State, godfatherism would never take place. And once he exits office, that he was not going to interfere. But we all know his cupiditous nature, greed for money and greed for power. Nyesom Wike is an embodiment of contradiction. He has never said a thing and kept it. Right from when he said, why didn't Amechi give the ministerial slot to another man? Why did Amechi choose that? Wike today is a minister. He was a minister for state, today is a minister. He condemned the office of the vice president, that he's too big to become a vice president. He accepted that of a minister, which is lower than that of a vice president. So you have a lot of cases, a plethora of cases that you can cite that will make you not to trust the man Nyesom is the one with you. Back to the agreement, you will all agree with me that I was on the sister station. I told somebody, I said, it is political blood journey at the theater of tyranny with a crazy speed of lunacy. Nobody in his right senses, unless you're intellectually constipated, will want to go into such an agreement that will strip you of your rights and also guarantee your death penalty. The governor obviously was under duress when he signed that, because the president had threatened, reminding him that he's the president of the country and that if the governor refuses to assent, then he knows what to do. That is duress. So the governor had no choice as at that time but to sign. He couldn't have just walked out on the president like that. He signed. But let us take on that advisement, the issue, the 8-point agenda is. Some of them are legal matters. And Mr. President is subject to the laws of the land. Excuse me, I have a bit of cold. He's subject to the laws of the land. He's not above. And so if you talk of the defection of the House of Assembly members who defected to APC. The first reason they gave was that there was crisis in PDP. When they saw flip landing, it was absolute nonsense because there are no crisis in PDP. We had a situation of the secretary of the party wanting to become a governor and still holding on to his office. And somebody saying, no, we'll go to court. That is not tantamount to crisis in PDP. Because the PDP is not decapitated. You still have the chairman, the deputy chairman, zonal chairman, and so on. Then they also came out to say, oh, because Mr. President is doing so well, that's why they defected. I mean, it's far from eclipse of reasoning and poverty of logic. If the president is doing so well and so, the Constitution did not provide for that, the electoral law did not provide for that. That is not the grounds of defection. But they were defecting to APC. And like the president noted at that meeting, as the rebuke rightly said, that why will he want to throw away babies that are born into his house? So the president, and that's why he was silent all this while. Yes, we called on him to intervene, thinking he would not be an interested party, thinking he would be unbiased. But sadly, he did not disappoint anybody at all. We just felt that as a president, some of those sleazy, dirty attributes have slaughtered some of those dirty attributes. But unfortunately, he has entrenched it because what he's trying to do is erect the statue of dictatorship in Rivers State. Well, we are going to resist. But let me also warn that it is presageful. You see what is going on right now in Rivers State. Before you know it, it will snowball. Our political engine is overheated. Social climate is still inflammatory, and economic atmosphere highly combustible, worsened by Mr. President himself. So we are headed slowly or steady for anarchy. And if Rivers State situation is not given the desired attention, and Rivers State is up in flames, you all know that by extension, the nation is up in flames. And this is beyond Rivers State. It's beyond. Falana spoke. The last time they went to government house, we saw Abianta and Co. Those are not Rivers State. Also, this ethnic coloration is also not necessary. Yes, people will weave all kinds of interpretations into crises like this. But ethnic coloration is even not necessary. We are talking of justice. Justice. This is the governor of the state. And Mr. President now sees himself as an emperor with all his minions like this on Wiki and Co. Coming in to say, you must do this, which the Constitution forbids. We have to talk of Section 109 of the Constitution. And the matter is even in court. They subjected these issues to the clinical progresses of the legal law. And the president said, to hell with the judiciary. I am Mr. President. What I say is what must be done.
All right, Opunabo, I actually have so many questions to ask you, but due to time constraints, would actually have to stop you there. But I would like to get our final thoughts from Godswill Jumbo, just briefly, please, before we move on.
First of all, let me greet my elder brother, Opunabo, Christian Inko-Tariah. One of my sterling mentors. Good to see you, sir. Okay, so
sorry, I went vernacular.
It's fine.
That is how we are in Rivers State. That's how we are in Rivers State. We are one. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Apart from the devil.
Okay, so yes, my thoughts on this before we go is that nobody should toy with Rivers State. Rivers State comes with a huge profile. Whichever one you want, whichever one. It is not called the oil and gas capital of Nigeria for nothing. It is the heart of the Niger Delta. It is the fountain. You get, check, all political dispensations from 1999 till down had a major input, financially and otherwise, from Rivers State. So it's not a state you come and concoct something insane, something, I mean, about that somewhere, I call it presidential proclamation. The office of the president is predicated on law. There will be no president of Nigeria if there was no constitution. So the president should remember that the office, he is president based on law. If there was no law, he wouldn't be president. And he should know that Rivers State too is a creation of law, and the functionalities, the dynamics around the governance system in Rivers State are predicated on law. So he wants to go out of that environment, that realm. He should be careful. This is not where it works. This is not any other place. This is Rivers State. And then let's also not entrench a legacy that tomorrow we'll start crying and regretting and scratching our head in old age and say, what did we do? Because how can you say people who have breached the ground norm, the apex law of the country, you are saying that a governor who is elected by the people, who is recognized constitutionally, should accept them to work with them when by law they've lost their office? You are saying people who have resigned from a government of their own volition, of their own free will, you are saying the governor should go groveling back to them and beg them to come back to serve.
But it wouldn't actually have escalated this far if only, Wike and Siminalayi Fubara actually come to a compromise. It wouldn't have actually escalated.
No, please. I don't like that. You don't say they come to what compromise. It's like coming to a compromise with an armed robber who invaded your house. Do you come to a compromise with that? We are talking about state capture here. Let us not be sentimental and let us not embellish. We are talking about state capture. Another invade your premises is robbing you. I say come to a compromise with the armed robber. Now, the case of Fubara, Governor Fubara, what really happened? That is the compromise. Because as at that time, if he had not signed it, nobody knew what would have happened to him. So
okay, but considering that both of them are in the same party, considering that both of them are actually in the same party, why do you have an idea why Wike actually signed the agreement himself?
What is party? What party? I just talked of duress here now. My brother, Dr. Jumbe, want to talk. I just talked of duress here. If I walk into that studio with a gun to your head, we have heard of the situations where people, INEC officials, have ratified results that they know afford because they have guns to their head. Now, will you go into an agreement with a minor? Is that admissible in law? It's not.
All right, well...
So if you go into an agreement with a minor, the court will say, yes, it's an agreement you sign. Then why do you have the issue of duress? So let us not go into that. Why do you have the issue of duress? A man is ambushed.
All right,
will you sign your own death warrant, even when you're guilty?
Do you have anything else to say? Do you have anything else to say as regards to what? Yeah, go ahead.
What I wanted to say is that there is not going to be any amicable settlement between Fubara and Wike. Wike is not that kind of person. We know him. We know his profile.
Okay.
He's not going to. What he technically wanted to do with that so-called peace meeting was to change the context of the fight between him and his political godson. It's a different thing when Fubara is fighting Nyesom Wike as an ordinary citizen, as a private citizen who is just occupying a public office. It's not the same thing as when the governor is fighting the president. That is the context that he wanted to establish. But unfortunately, Rivers people are saying, no, that's not going to work. Rivers people are not bringing the battle to him. You understand? So that's not, as far, both of them they are not in the same party. Is Wike in the PDP? Is Wike a member, a party faithful in the PDP?
On paper, he actually is. All right, but thank you so much. I really wish we could actually continue this conversation, but we
but let me say one thing.
But thank you so much. I'm so sorry we actually don't have that time, Opunabo. But thank you so much for joining.
Just 1 minute now.
And giving your time. I'm really sorry. All right, go ahead, please. 1 minute.
Yes, I want Wike, his co-travelers, and the president to know that Rivers people will forever resist this monstrosity. We will not accept it. And whatever it will take, we are prepared. So if they think that they can dictate to us, it will not happen in Rivers State. That's my warning to them.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And it's actually, good to see that, some of the stakeholders are actually coming out to speak now against, what is happening in Rivers State. But thank you so much, Opunabo, Christian, Inko-Tariah, and also Godswill Jumbo for joining me on the news today to give your perspective on this issue. We appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you.